Good morning and welcome to your TVC news here in Clarence-Rockland. It's Friday the 26th of March. My name is Thomas Stockting and thank you for joining me as we bring you your local regional update. In your headlines this week, COVID latest in Prescott-Russell, local vaccine administration starts, Rogers Communications selected to provide cell coverage to Eastern Ontario, groundbreaking for new residence Prescott-Russell, and a new eco-tourism project in Hammond. Before we get on to the latest COVID-19 numbers for our region, there's another topic we must address. Last weekend, during the contact tracing phone calls, the Eastern Ontario Health Unit staff suffered some appalling verbal abuse from local residents. These phone calls and the tireless work that's being conducted by the staff at the EOHU are for our protection. In a similar way in which we saw a homophobic slur graffitied in front of the home of Ottawa Mayor Jim Watson, abusive behaviour is never acceptable, whether you agree with the way in which the situation is being handled or not. Speaking on Monday night, here is what the EOHU Medical Officer, Dr. Roumeliotis, had to say on the subject.
Quite busy, obviously, with having to follow up 71 cases over the weekend, and required a lot of follow up and so on. I just want to sort of share with you some of the experiences that our staff have been having, and not only at the local level, but also across public health units in Ontario. We recognize that people are frustrated, but we've got increasing number of cases. We've got to call people, particularly with the concern of the VOCs. Our staff who have been doing contact tracing have been yelled at, screamed at, abusive language, swearing, and so on to them. It's and our staff literally sometimes are in tears because they've been so rudely spoken to, hung up on, abused, like I said, sworn at, vulgarities, like the civility is gone. And this has been experienced across the health units in Ontario. And I'm pleading with people, our job, they're trying to protect everybody. They're doing their job. They want to follow up. They want to, if you're positive or if your family's positive, they want to make sure that we protect everybody else around our community. So they're just doing their job. They're trying to protect us. So please be a bit more polite to our staff, please. They work hard. They work 7 days a week. We're also pulling them to do vaccines. So I'm just pleading there. I've actually, I've been on other media and I've talked about this. I've actually texted the Premier, and he responded to me by voicemail, actually, because for some reason I couldn't take a call, and told me that this was unacceptable and he would be addressing it. So I'm hoping he's going to address it as well. But this is something that, again, I'm pleading with everybody. Please, they're just doing their job. I wish they did not have to call you. Over the weekend, we had to make those initial 71 calls to do the contact tracing and see where things are. So the lower the numbers, the less we're going to call people. But again, they're just doing their job. And please, try not to be, try to cooperate. Recognize everybody's tired. I understand that everybody's fatigued. I think that at this point we really need to just be a bit more patient and like I said, hopefully I'm also worried about is that we're going to be going into the red zone likely early next week, or if I see it going up like this over the next couple of days, we may even have a talk with the ministry to do an earlier red zone. You also know that with the red zone, there's been some changes.
Following a severe rise in cases last weekend, the EOHU will move into the red zone next week, according to Dr. Roumeliotis, with an official announcement set for later today. At the time of this recording, Prescott-Russell had 76 active cases, of which 13 are in Clarence-Rockland. Of all the positive cases in the EOHU, over 43% are variants of concern, a figure that unfortunately continues to rise. On the other side of things, the race to vaccinate the local population did take a boost last Friday as the first day of vaccinations against COVID-19 started here in Clarence-Rockland. We spoke to Councillor Mario Zant outside of the Jean-Marc Lalonde Arena on Friday morning.
Well, we're here because today is the very first day of vaccinations for citizens 80 years old and over. This is for the entire region. It's not just for citizens of Rockland. I believe there's some in Castleman and Cornwall set up as well. And we're putting to good use an historic building in our community to benefit our citizens.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk, obviously, around budget time about the use of the Lalonde Arena and whether that would be decommissioned altogether. What efforts have gone into retrofitting this building to be able to accommodate, the 80-year-old plus per residents now, and obviously more people further down the line?
Well, I went in briefly, so I'm not necessarily in the know of everything that occurred to make it happen. I know there's a lot of ramps that were put in, and for mobility and that sort of thing. But from what I've seen inside, it's incredible. I mean, I'm really, really proud of what our employees at the city have done with this. It's really incredible in there.
This is one of 6 mass immunisation centres across the EOHU region. Why was it so important to you to have one here in Rockland? We have
a large population of elderly people, and I think it's just important to be able to, for the Eastern Ontario Health Unit, to have as many centres as possible. I mean, we're trying to ensure that we get back to normal as quickly as possible, and it starts with vaccinations. And the more that there are, the better it is.
And you said you popped in a little bit earlier as well. How's it looking in there? I guess the queue behind you has been formed for about 25 minutes or so now as people wait to go in. The first people in line over there. So how's it looking in there? Is everything ready?
Everything looks ready. I mean, they've got many stations. From what I could count, roughly, I think I didn't go through the entire building. Obviously, I stayed at the start, but I think they've got at least 15 stations ready to go. Tons of chairs. Everything is incredibly well spaced out. I mean, it's impressive.
And what would you say to residents who are still maybe a little bit skeptical at the moment, waiting to see how the process rolls out?
Well, I mean, I'm not up for vaccination for quite a while, so I'm not sure, but I would definitely tell them to trust the process. I mean, we've put a lot of work into this. The city employees have done an incredible job, as I said earlier, and we're ready to vaccinate as many people as we can with, obviously, pending government approval. So.
And finally, slightly obvious, but how important is this day in the history of especially the last 18 months?
This is incredible, to tell you the truth. We didn't know when this was actually going to happen, right? So we talking about vaccines for a really long time, and we were knowing that different municipalities were getting them. And now that we're ready to do this is huge. And so I'm very excited, and I think this is a great day for Eastern Ontario for sure.
Fantastic. Councillor Zant, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
And much like Councillor Zant, we got the absolute privilege of taking a peek inside the building to witness the ongoing work by the EOHU and the city during a guided tour by Dr. Roumeliotis.
Donc, on va commencer avec le tournée. We'll start with a tour, and then we'll finish it out outside with some questions. So, Chris, you can follow me. So, here is we have again, this is different than we usually have in regular clinics. This is a screening station, obviously, to make sure people don't have any symptoms. Donc ça, ici, on fait le premier dépistage pour être certain que les personnes n'ont pas des maladies, etc., n'ont pas de symptômes. Ceci est exceptionnel parce qu'on est en pandémie. D'habitude, quand on fait des cliniques d'immunisation, on n'a pas ce type. Donc, vous voyez, on a plusieurs étapes. Donc, on va continuer. Une fois que le dépistage soit fait, enregistrer ici, l'inscription. So we're going to, people register here, and we verify the consent form. They have to have a consent form as well. And once they're registered in our system, we go in here. They're greeted by one of our staff here and are told to wait and to go to one of the 10 stations. We can update this to 20 stations, each one doing 8 to 10 vaccines a minute, an hour. Donc, une fois qu'on est enregistré, on est ici, quelqu'un nous dit à quelle station d'aller pour se faire vacciner. Et puis,
on peut faire, on a 10 stations actuellement. On pourrait mettre 20 si on voudrait. C'est ça qu'on va voir dans l'avenir. Et chaque table peut faire 8 à 10 vaccinations par heure. Okay? C'est un peu, le débit est moins cette fois-ci parce qu'on a les personnes âgées. On a les personnes de 80 et plus. So the speed and the number of people is less because we have people that are 80 years old and over. So it's mobility issues. So once we go here, so here, we're, again, once they're vaccinated, again, you see the chairs are 6 feet apart, both ways. Ordinarily, in a regular clinic, we would have them row by row by row. Could put here 50, 60 people at once. But you can see, because of social distancing, we have the tables here. So they have to wait the routine 15 minutes to make sure there's no adverse effect. Donc, après qu'ils reçoivent le vaccin, ils vont s'asseoir ici pour une période d'observation pour 15 minutes. D'habitude, on pourrait mettre beaucoup plus de gens. On met des centaines à la fois. Mais à cause des distances physiques, on est limité. Okay? Une fois qu'on commence à avoir d'autres, le débit va augmenter, on va avoir 10 autres stations. On peut avoir 20. So once we have more vaccine supply and we open it up to bigger numbers, we'll be able to do 20 at a time, 20 here. And then you can see it's tight. It will be tight even for 20. Ordinarily, we could do this in a gym, but we have the tables, we can't. So that's why we have this issue. And we also worry about access. So you see here, it's one floor, people can come in. The city of Rockland was very gracious. They broke down the sidewalks in the front to make it handicap accessible. Donc, vous voyez ici, on pourrait mettre 20 personnes, 20 vaccinateurs. Et à un moment donné, on pourrait faire beaucoup plus, mais on est limité. Et vous voyez l'autre chose, que quand on choisit les places, les locaux, on regarde toujours la mobilité, l'accessibilité. Donc, même à ce moment-là, quand on est à rentrer, il n'y avait pas accès aux handicapés. Maintenant, on l'a. Donc, c'est grâce aux villes de Rockland. Rockland has been amazing partners in this. Each vaccinator requires about 2 staff to be able to do the flow. Donc, pour chaque vaccinateur, on a besoin de 2 personnes pour vraiment faire, pour aider avec tous les autres. Au niveau de où on va s'asseoir, de faire enregistrer, etc. Donc, quand on a 6 comme ça, vous voyez, c'est pas mal, beaucoup de ressources. Actuellement, on fait 3 à la fois. 3 à 4 à la fois. D'ici la première semaine d'avril, on a 37 cliniques de bouquets. 37 à travers de l'Est Ontario. So between now and the first week of April, we have 37 of these clinics. And you can see that each clinic is very intense in terms of human resources. For every vaccinator, we need about 2 people for flow, control, those type of things. The other thing that's very interesting that you actually maybe see is where they're sitting at that table over there, that table with a light on them. Look, because we want to be efficient, and because, as you know, we're vaccinating with the Pfizer vaccine at this point, we need a special technique to be able to get the 6th dose out. So we have special, what we call loaders, that just sit there, and that's all they do. They load the vaccine into a syringe, then we have somebody bringing it to each of the stations. So the stations are more efficient. Donc, vous voyez ici, on a, sur la table là-bas, on a les infirmières spécialisées qui font juste remplir les seringues, parce que c'est difficile des fois pour prendre le 6e dose. Donc, ils font juste ça. Puis on a une autre personne qui amène les seringues remplies à chaque station. So it's a real complicated process, and it's getting more complicated because of the Pfizer vaccine. The other thing too is we need to be able to approximate how much vaccine we're going to bring here based on the appointments, because once we bring it here, we can't move it. So we need to know exactly by dose how many we have. Donc, il faut qu'on a, à cause que le Pfizer, le vaccin de Pfizer, une fois qu'on le transporte, on ne peut pas le retransporter. Donc, il fallait qu'on ait vraiment une bonne estimation des doses parce qu'on ne veut pas, we don't want to waste it. On ne va pas avoir beaucoup des vaccins à utiliser.
Vraiment, disons, je n'étais pas trop inquiet avant. Et puis là, il faut continuer quand même à prendre toutes les précautions nécessaires. Et puis, on suit les conseils. Qu'est-ce que ça va faire, le fait qu'on est vacciné pour nous protéger? Je me sens encore plus protégé.
Je me sens très bien. Je prévoyais de pas avoir mon vaccin le plus tôt possible. Et puis, c'est fait, oui.
Well, it's been a wonderful experience, long awaited, for this moment in time. And, it went off without a hitch. We had our appointments. Of course, there was a big lineup and we had to fill out a whole bunch of forms, which we could have done at home if we would have known. But anyways, it is what it is. So now it's done. So we feel quite a bit of relief. And we're looking forward to getting our second shot in 4 months from now, because the politicians know better than the medics. And, so finally, I guess by the end of the year, we'll be looking forward to taking up our normal life routine, and being able maybe to travel to other places.
Moi, j'ai trouvé ça idéal parce que la personne qui l'a donné était vraiment une bonne nurse. Puis, tu sens soulagé après que c'est fait.
Puis moi, c'était comme un congé, là, comme si ça nous achète ça de longue liberté, avec le reste à venir.
Je suis contente parce que j'imagine que plus il va y avoir de monde qui vont être vaccinés, que mieux ça va être pour toute la communauté. Alors, je pense que dans le fond, c'est un bon move, puis que le monde, il faudrait peut-être plus de monde qui accepte d'être vacciné, parce qu'on va avoir un problème à des places, là, parce que le monde ne voudront pas se faire vacciner, mais c'est une bonne chose. Moi, j'encourage le monde à se faire vacciner pour arrêter la propagation du virus.
On entend dire aussi qu'on a peut-être une quarantaine de 14 jours à faire attention à nous. Et puis, dépendant, quand on va attendre les annonces, on va être prêt à aller rencontrer notre famille, nos petits-enfants, puis finalement sortir de chez nous.
Extended family in Montreal and Orleans and, in Barrie, Ontario, and so on. So, for us to not haven't seen them for almost a year and a half is, is a little bit of a stretch, Yeah, but anyways, we're looking forward to better times.
Sais-tu, ça ne change pas grand-chose à mon affaire. Non, parce que comme c'est là, je fais attention. Alors, tu sais, là, je ne revirerai pas folle. Non, je n'irai pas faire de party parce que je vais être obligée je vais être capable de... Non, je préfère... tu sais qu'on va continuer comme on est là, tu sais, là, à faire attention parce que c'est pas le fait que le vaccin est donné que ça va tout arranger la situation. Il va falloir que le monde continue à faire attention. Puis si le monde ne continue pas, bien...
Je vais vous dire ce qu'on va faire la première.
Oh, la première, parfait.
On s'en va se payer un bon souper chez nous.
Oui.
Puis on prend un bon verre de vin.
We would like to express our profound gratitude to all of the residents who stopped by and spoke to us. Due to some unfortunate technical difficulties, we weren't able to include all of the interviews in that package there at the end, but trust me when I say your participation means a lot to your local television station. So thank you. Rogers Communications has been selected as the Eastern Ontario Regional Network's partner as the project to provide greater cellular service across Eastern Ontario, especially in those rural areas, has received a big boost. The total investment for the project will amount to over $300 million, with over half of that coming from Rogers Communications. This project will lead to the creation of some 3,000 jobs and will allow for smaller rural areas to take a huge step forward in terms of connectivity. And speaking of projects in our region, last week during my chat with Councillor Michel Levert in our latest instalment of In Your Ward, we made our way to Hammond Golf Course to talk about an upcoming eco-tourism project set to be ready for the upcoming summer season. Head over to our Facebook page or YouTube channel to catch the full episode. And a new chapter for the Prescott-Russell residence has begun, as the official groundbreaking ceremony for the new residence occurred this past Tuesday, March 23rd. The residence is being constructed just down the road from the current location on Spence Avenue in Hawkesbury. The planning committee will be adding 77 more beds, bringing the maximum occupancy to 224 residents. TVC 22 journalist Bruce de la Cruz spoke with Prescott-Russell Chief Administrative Officer Stéphane Parisien about how some of the new features will improve the quality of care for the residents.
Better air quality, better flow of services that are being provided to them, many more multi-facility rooms that can be used for either the families to attend gatherings with their loved ones at the residence. It's just a state-of-the-art building, and it's something we're not having right now. So we want to provide our residents with a feel-at-home type of building where, if they need to have family come over for an anniversary, a birthday, or a special celebration, that we have the rooms that are required to give them privacy and respect to hold these sessions with their families. And this is the kind of new ways of thinking to have our residents have this feel at home type of feeling, actually, which is not quite possible with what we have right now. This, like I said, is a 1970s building, so it feels like you're in a hospital, and that's the last thing we want them to feel like. A lot of our residents, this is their last home. For most of them, it's their last home. Mm-hmm. Some of them have dementia. We have a special unit for dementia and Alzheimer's, but we also have a lot of rooms where residents require care on a 24/7 basis, whether it be for providing meals to them, helping them eat their food, changing clothes, getting in and out of diapers when that happens. So this new facility provides more dignity and more respect to them as they live their life, the late stages of their lives in that kind of a facility.
And all that you just mentioned there kind of goes into what was said yesterday during the groundbreaking, where you want to have the building feel less institutionalized. Yes, correct. Okay.
We're also wanting to have internal courtyards because, as you know, people like to sit and look around, and they like to look outside. If you look at the building we have now, the sites are not all that great from what they have to look at. As I've said, initially that building was planned for folks that could move in and out, could do their own groceries. It was more of a retirement place, which is not now. So we're having a lot of daylight that's being provided with that building. A lot of places where they can actually go outside on a patio and look out at the traffic that's coming and going. It's a very busy part of town, I should say, and it's going to give them more. It'll be more fun for them.
Mm-hmm. I see. During the planning stage, again, did you ask any of the residents about things that they wanted in the new building, or?
Yeah, at first we had some planning sessions. We involved residents, we involved their families, we involved the community and some of our stakeholders in trying to come up with a bunch of wants, what was their wish list? And we try to account for that wish list and to provide a package where everybody was getting a little bit of what they wanted. So yes, we did have some of those, and those were critical in trying to develop an early design. And we've also afterwards brought that back to them to see what they liked, what they didn't like. So that took about, I would say, anywhere from 2 to 4 months. As you know, we can't please everybody, but we at least try to take into account the wishes of our community, our residents, and their families.
Of course. Going back, you said there were 200 people currently working at the facility. Do you have plans to hire more? Because I know one of the most common problems nowadays with long-term care homes is that they're understaffed.
They're understaffed. Staff retention is critical, but recruitment of staff right now is really tough, and that's not only for us. This is throughout Ontario. And as you know, we're just a few hundred meters from a hospital, and that hospital also requires the same staff we do. So we're somewhat competing with the hospital to recruit new staff. So, but we think with the new building that can, and that's not to say we're not going to hire new staff, but we think that we have the complement right now that's required to manage the new facility with more residents. So essentially, we're banking on the fact that we can do the job with the staff that we have now.
Can you go into a little more detail with that plan?
That plan, as I said earlier, was for a better design of the building so that an employee providing services to residents can actually handle a larger workload by having, by defining their spaces in a better way, by defining workflows in a better way, by providing medication in a shorter time span, providing meals also. Right now we have something like 5 kitchens where we bring, we actually take some residents out, bring them to the kitchen, and sometimes we require 2 individuals to feed 1 person or to help them with feeding. So we're trying to organize to have as many staff possible do the same, allow for the same dedication of time to 1 person, but to actually do it with a bit more residents, and to actually have 1 person do a bit more by having a better organization of our kitchens, of our where our beds are located, where some of our activity rooms are located as well. So this has all been thought of to try to help us mitigate the additional beds by providing these services with the same staff complement.
So that's it for the end of this last episode of TVC News. We'll be taking a step back to focus on different programming over the coming months, but that doesn't mean that this is the end of TVC News and TVC Nouvelles, and you could be the one to save it. We're actively looking for volunteers and civilian journalists to help keep the show alive. So if you like having this regional news program and you want to help out, do not hesitate. Get in touch with us. You can reach me at email by email at nouvelle with an S at the end at tvc22.ca, or by phone at 613-446-6037, extension number 4, or of course contact us on any of our social media channels. So for now, have a lovely weekend, stay safe, wait for your vaccines, and I'll see you when I see you, Clarence-Rockland. Until next time.